Hey, Funko lovers, welcome to another episode of the Funko Friends podcast. I'm your host, Johnny Funko, with my co host, Sam. And today we have the amazing
Damien and Broderick.
Welcome.
Thanks so much for having me. It's a pleasure.
Thank you for being on the show.
I didn't call him Matthew. If anybody gets that reference.
Why did you use your name for your YouTube channel?
To be honest, I think part of it is because I couldn't think of anything like really catchy and like original. And then I don't know, like of my YouTube channel is really odd because like I've always wanted to like go down different avenues. I've always been like, oh, I'd like to do vlogs and all that sort of stuff. But my life is really boring, and I'm like a really kind of I'm not like your Casey Neistat or Peter McKinnon or like a Logan Paul that's like super loud and obnoxious and in your face and running around doing everything a million miles an hour. So I think that was kind of the idea of like just my name. And then it kind of just became a thing that like all of my handles are essentially just my name. I've actually got really lucky. I think Twitter is the only one that's not my name.
Right. I watched one of your clips that you kind of said you're not really an influencer.
Yeah, people always like. I don't like calling myself that. I actually hate the word influencer, and I think like it definitely gets like a bad rap nowadays. Like that influencers in the wild like page is like one of my favorite things ever. Like these people like on the beach getting their boyfriends to take pictures of their asses and stuff is just hilarious.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I don't like calling myself an influencer. I think like every single person on this planet is an influencer in some way, shape, or form. Like the doorman of like a nice hotel or a nice restaurant that opens the door for you influences you in some way. Like he has an impact on you. Like you're gonna be like, wow, that was like really nice of that guy. Maybe I'll pull out the chair of the person that I'm with, or whatever. Like, do you know what I mean? And on different levels and different scales, everybody is technically an influencer. You can influence anybody.
So what was your first platform that you started on?
I think Instagram was kind of the first one that kind of started to gather a little bit of a following and stuff, and then yeah, Instagram's definitely the first one that I've ever done like collaborations with different brands and stuff.
Okay, that's interesting. So what YouTube channels do you look up to or get inspiration from?
Influence.
Yeah, which ones influenced me? I think like when Casey Neistat was doing like the daily vlog way back in the day, when he took like that, I mean like there was like Ben Brown and Fun for Louie and all those kind of like daily vloggers, and then Casey just took that whole thing to a whole other level. And then obviously being a photographer, like when Peter McKinnon came on board, and then he took what Casey did and then just added all that photography and cinematic side to it, and all that like camera knowledge in terms of like frame rates and all that sort of stuff, and like, you know, really skillful edits and everything. I really enjoy watching that sort of stuff. But then it becomes a little bit of like a rinse and repeat, and everybody just like goes, okay, so now I'm going to like place the camera down here, and now I'm going to walk past it, and then I'm going to go back and get my camera, and I'm going to set up 5 more shots because that's what Casey does, and now it's cool. And then everybody just jumps on the bandwagon, and it gets really old really quick. So I think like YouTube, I think they're probably YouTubers that I would like used to watch a lot, but I don't think there's many YouTubers now that are like religiously going like, oh shit, like I'm gonna go, like I'm waiting for their notification. I don't even think I have notifications turned on for anybody. That says a lot. Like,
Right. So how long have you been making content for?
oh god, maybe 6 or 7 years, I think. Yeah, about 6 or 7 years.
What makes your content unique and special in your own way? What sets you aside from other people?
I think like in terms of being like the influencer side of things, I think what often sets me apart is like I'm a photographer first and foremost. So like my image quality, like without like tooting my own horn, like my image quality is what kind of sets me apart. Like I've shot like commercial campaigns for like Swiss watch companies, and I've had some of my work displayed in like jewelry stores like all over the world. So when it comes to shooting something for Instagram for some brand, like that's like without like tooting my own horn, that's just bread and butter. It's like super super easy. So I might not have like 100,000 followers on Instagram, but when a brand hires me, they know that the image quality is going to be an absolute best representation of their brand and their product.
Right. Okay, that's really cool. So we're gonna lead out of the content questions. Now we're going into some tattoo questions. If you so,
Sweet.
yeah. How many tattoos do you have?
Ooh, I can't remember last time I counted, but I think I'm in like the high 20s.
Okay, I'm a little behind you then.
But like I like say like the knuckles, I don't count each one like this is one. I don't
Yeah.
count each individual. That's not 8, it's one. But yeah, I think I'm in like the high 20s, and I'm booked in the end of this week to get 2 more, get my neck finished out. So
So what was your first one then, if
this
you remember?
really really terrible like nautical punk star on my wrist.
Okay.
It's so bad. The lines are blown out. It's faded as fuck. Yeah, it's so bad. I'm sorry if I'm swearing a lot. It's an Irish thing.
Oh, that's okay.
But
Before
yeah,
before we move on to any more questions, we're gonna say hi to a few people in the chat. Hi, Baby Ice. Hi, Shangy Girl. Hi, Nadia. Hi, Arcade. Hi, Two Boys and Their Pops. And I think that is all. Mr. Awesome. Hi.
hello from me also. Thanks for tuning in and listening.
Yeah, hey guys, been a while. I know. I'm back. Michael Jordan has returned.
So which one was your painfulest tattoo in your opinion?
Oh, my lower stomach, like by a country mile. It was like all of my tattoos, like the first couple of lines, first hour or so, you're like, okay, yeah, I can deal with this. This is bearable. And then towards the end, it's just like, yeah, this really sucks. The
Mhm.
very first line on my stomach tattoo was instant regret. I was like, this is a mistake. Like, I just want to be out of here now. And it was like 6 hours long. It was so bad.
Yeah, mine was definitely my elbow. That one really sucked. That one I just when she started hitting the bone, I was like, oh.
Mhm.
You should go on Ink
Yeah.
Master.
Yeah, at least you can get something substantial for free, though. So it's not
It's
too
true,
bad.
but
So does your tattoos have any meaning or
Some
special?
of them, yeah, some of them do, and like most of them don't. Like 90% of them don't. So, like, say there's an Irish sport called hurling. So the number 13 on my thumbs was my jersey number.
Mhm.
My blog, like my fashion blog that I had quite a while ago was called 1943 IE. So the Roman numerals are 1943.
Mhm.
Most of them would just be like, say, I've just got like a fern leaf across my knuckles. It was literally just to fill this gap between this and this. So I
Mhm.
just, yeah.
Do you regret any?
I have a Green Lantern tattoo like back here that I'm gonna cover up. It's not so much of a regret where I'm just like, oh, I hate that tattoo so much. It's just more so like, it's really small, it's really bad, and it's kind of in the way for an idea that I have to go there. So that's what's gonna get covered up.
Is it very faded or is it strong like blacks
Oh,
and
it's
stuff?
so faded. It's so bad.
Okay, so it would
Just
be
like,
an easy cover up then.
oh, so yeah. So I could probably cover up myself. It's so bad.
So which one was the most expensive, if you don't mind me asking?
Ooh, my stomach also.
Your stomach also, okay.
Yeah, it's quite
Wait,
big. It goes like basically from hip to hip, and it goes from like basically like right above my crotch to right below my belly button. So it's like the whole bottom half of my stomach. It's huge.
What's that about? I saw it. It's like it's two people shaking hands.
Yeah, so it's a hand and then a snake's head. So it's a really old school design. Like normally it would have like trust nobody like fonted above or below it or whatever. So yeah, it's basically, when you're shaking someone's hand, it may bite you. Not every handshake is a friendly one, kind of thing. So
We have a question in the chat for you.
yeah, sweet, let's roll.
yeah, I see it.
Okay.
So do women have a better threshold of pain when it comes to tattoos, in your opinion? That's a good question.
Like I don't know. Like I've had tattoo artists that like, I'm about to get to the side of my neck done at the end of the week, and the artist Sophie that's doing it, she used numbing cream on the side of her neck. So like it's hard to know. I think like overall, I think women probably have a better pain threshold. They have to go through pregnancy and stuff, so I would definitely hope that they have a better pain threshold than men. But like tattoos are it's such a weird pain. It's like scratching. It's not like any other pain. Like obviously I don't know what labor feels like, but I would imagine it's like a lot of pressure.
Right.
But tattooing is not like pressure pain, if that makes sense. It's a very different sort of sensation, so it's very hard to know.
But like that's funny because like my wife, when she gets her tattoos done, she says the worst is the shading, and I'm like, no, the worst is definitely the line work. To me, like I don't know why she says the shading, but we have different pain, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it definitely affects everybody in different ways. Like my little brother, like he sits through tattoos like a champ, and I struggle big time with all of them. So
yeah, that was weird. When my brother got his tattoo, and he's weird. Like I thought he would be like, oh my god, this is the worst. I'm never having a tattoo. But he sat there and just took it. I was like, wow, bro.
yeah, my little brother just got his ditch, like the ditch in his arm tattooed today, and he posted a picture on his Instagram. And it's the first time I've seen him like wince in pain at a tattoo, and I'm like, finally, this guy feels some pain.
Okay, so here's a question from Two Boys and Their Pops. What is the story behind the panther with knife in it tattoo?
So my particular panther with a knife tattoo. So one of the like, wouldn't say like founding fathers almost, but one of the like the really original old school Irish tattoo artists is called Johnny Eagle, and he'd be like a real pioneer of Irish tattooing. And the panther with the dagger that I have is basically a homage to one of his original designs. My friend Emmett, who did that tattoo, actually found that design on an old newspaper scrap, which was basically an advert for Johnny Eagle, which is probably the advert is like probably 40 years old. And he basically just like put his own little twist on it. So there's no real significant meaning to it other than, yeah, it's just a bit of Irish tattoo history on my skin.
Do you have any famous tattoo artists that you would wish to be tattooed by?
I don't know, like really famous, like your like Miami Ink famous, like Chris Garver would probably be one. I have a little bit of Japanese work, and yeah, I'd love him to like add to that. I'd love to get a portrait, so like Kat Von D would like, even though I think Kat Von D is kind of cancelled right now, but I'd still get a tattoo and just not say anything about it. I don't even know if she's still tattooing. I'm sure she probably is, but yeah, maybe a portrait from Kat Von D. And then there's a guy who actually models as well. He's from the UK. His name is Charlie Edwards. He's not like super famous for being an artist. Like he's got a huge like online following, but he wouldn't be like Kat Von D famous for tattooing. But his work is insane. His work is insane. So yeah, I'd love to get tattooed by him.
Oh, that's sick. We're just gonna say a couple of highs before we go into more questions. Hi, the proper popper. Hi, Sharon. Funko Illuminati. Hi. K&L Collectibles. Hi. And Dream. Hi.
Okay.
Hello, everybody.
So what was the inspiration behind the Just Ink About It tattoo?
That's no, that's a podcast.
Oh, sorry. I was gonna say, that'd be a cool tattoo though.
Yeah, it would be a cool tattoo. I think like I remember just like I was an ambassador for Movember this year, and we were sitting at the launch party, and I was just like, oh, I'd love to do a podcast because I was basically saying that like a podcast probably has a little bit more longevity to it, because like if my hair starts to recede or I get fat or something, nobody's gonna want to like click onto my TikToks or my Instagram or whatever. So podcast, at least it's just my voice. And then we were just sitting there and I was like, what the hell am I going to talk about for about an hour or so? And they're just like, oh, tattoos, because I can talk about tattoos forever anyway. So and then the TikTok thing, the tattoo videos on TikTok just kind of blew up. So it's just like, okay, it's kind of now or never. And then when I was thinking of a name, it was kind of just like, anytime anybody asked me like, oh, I want to get my first tattoo, and I'm always like, just think about it. So then, as cliche as it is, just think about it, just ink about it. So, and I was absolutely shocked that like nobody had used that name before me. I'm like shocked that nobody took it.
Yeah,
It's unique. I
yeah,
like
it
it.
is
Yeah.
really unique.
Instead of be like, oh, the tattoo hour, and it's like,
Yeah, yeah.
Or the tattoo podcast.
Yeah.
It was very unique.
Yeah, and there's like obviously like loads of like really cliche ones. You'd be like pins and needles, or like all those like tacky tattoo shop names. No offense to
Yeah.
anybody that's tattoo shop is named that, but it's tacky. So
Yeah. So how do you achieve sharp focus?
in photography,
Yes,
Yes.
we're going into
we're
photography.
going. I guess we're going back. Yes.
autofocus. No, trust me, like I'll wear prescription eyeglasses. Autofocus is my absolute best friend. I think one of the other ways is like by closing down your aperture. So it's obviously very difficult to get something in focus if you're shooting like wide open, like 1.4, 1.8. So if you close that down to like f4, then obviously like your focal plane is bigger, so you're getting more in focus. It kind of depends on the aesthetic that you're looking for. If you want like super blurry backgrounds, but there's other ways of achieving that. So you can use longer lenses, which compress the field of view, so your background's going to be blurry even if you're shooting at like f8. So it's without getting too technical, like if your subject is like really far away from your background and you're using a long lens, the background's going to be really blurry, but your focal plane is going to be quite big, so it's relatively easy to get stuff in focus. But autofocus is the short-term answer.
Okay, so this is something I was curious about, kind of off the hop. I'm glad we're going back to this, and I hope I don't talk about things I'm not supposed to talk about. So for photography, did you go to school for that, or was it just something you liked and picked it up and decided point, click, shoot?
Yeah, so how I kind of got into it was like my dad kind of was interested in it, and then he spent some money on a camera, and then I kind of commandeered it, and then he kind of like, I don't know, it's not so much like fell out of love with it. It was almost like he just hadn't got time, or just it was like more so like, oh, I'll take nice holiday photos, and I was just like, I want to take photos of everything all the time, so I'll use your camera. And then in about 2008 or something, that when that like global recession hit, I was just like, okay, so there's no jobs to be had, and I'm like basically a teenager, and there's no jobs to be had, so I'll just go study. And I had no idea what I wanted to study, so I went and studied photography and digital imaging for 2 years. And like, I didn't, like, no disrespect to the course was like super amazing and super fun, but I didn't actually learn anything because I was very much self-taught beforehand. So
Yeah, and I think the biggest lesson is like, I'm not knocking school, but until you get out there and you make those mistakes and you're doing it on your own, you're kind of like, oh, learn that, know to do this, know how to do that.
yeah, absolutely. You're going to learn from your mistakes. You know, you're going to take a bad photo, and then you need to understand, okay, why is that photo bad? Is it bad from a technical standpoint or an artistical standpoint? And then you just like improve from there, really. I think there's like a really famous photography quote that's like, your first 10,000 photos are your worst. So just think of how long it's going to take you to take 10,000 shitty photos before you can get
Or you just like 10,000 selfies, like different angles.
exactly. Burst mode, just like machine gun fire.
Yeah.
You'll eventually get there.
Okay, so the second question, I was interested in this, and you were kind of going all rapid fire. So you said a bunch of companies that came to you and said, would you shoot for us? How did that come to be? Like, how did they find out about you?
Social media.
Oh,
Pure, like, yeah. So the last brand that I shot for was a French crowd that just opened the shop on Savile Row, and that was probably the only one that I didn't get through social media. So basically, I went to the launch party of like the opening party of their new store, and then I met the owner of the store, and then yeah, I guess I just made an impression on them, and then they reached out on social media and said, okay, will you do a shoot? But 99% of them, they reach out through Instagram.
nice. Okay, so here's another question. What is white balance?
So white balance, an easy way to describe this is by using this light here. So white balance is done on what's called a Kelvin scale. So Kelvin is how we measure the temperature of light. So if you can, like, these numbers on the back here. So the lower this goes, the more orange it gets, and the higher it goes, the more blue it gets. So white balance is essentially, we're always trying to measure for daylight, and our daylight is around between like 4.5 to like 6.5, which would be like absolute white. It's not too blue and it's not too red. So that's our cameras are constantly trying to match what our eyes see, which is like a true Kelvin balance.
Mhm.
Nice.
But you can like get creative with that. So if you, let's say, if you've got like tungsten light overhead, which would be like more orange, you can set your camera to tungsten light, and then your camera will essentially like compensate for that orange light by essentially placing, you know, more blues through the white balance to compensate for the orange light. Or if it's fluorescent, it does vice versa or whatever. So
Okay, that's really interesting.
Okay, so we have a question from Two Boys and Their Pops is very like active in the questions today. Love it. How can one educate themselves to take better photos? That's a good question.
so I think that like YouTube is just like a huge source of information. So if you want to shoot anything in particular, if you want to get into shooting weddings, there's going to be like 6 million videos from wedding photographers all trying to like, you know, build a YouTube community. And they're probably trying to sell you some sort of class on their Patreon. So don't waste your money on that sort of garbage. Just get all the free info off YouTube. They should be earning money off shooting weddings, not selling workshops. And then yeah, like I mean, if you're into shooting wildlife, just Google wildlife photography on YouTube, and then like yeah, you're gonna get it that way. And then the other way is to simply go out and take photos. Take photos of everything, of your dog, of your kids, walking around the park. The easiest way to get good at photography is to be carrying your camera around with you all the time, and it's easier than ever because there's a camera on your cell phone. So
Right.
It's true. Okay, we got another
We
one.
have a follow-up question from Eric.
Or Two Boys and Their Pops.
Yep.
If you're shooting a forest or landscapes, how much does the depth of the field play a role? Wow, that was a deep question. Wow.
So that kind of depends from like an artistic standpoint. So you can see some kind of like really artistic landscapes where there's a really shallow depth of field and the background becomes kind of milky and blurry, and then it's like a single plane of focus that's like maybe getting like a piece of bamboo or something like that, like to be almost like a painting. But if you're trying to actually capture like a landscape, these like rolling hills and maybe clouds in the background or something in the foreground, yes, it's essentially absolutely essential that all of that is in focus. So you'd want to be shooting anywhere between like f8 and f16 to make sure that you're getting full range of focus.
Nice.
Interesting.
So what gear do you use when taking photos or working on your craft?
So kind of like it kind of depends on what I'm shooting. So like it's not this one, but it's a newer version of this. So this is like in Fuji X100. I now have an XE3, I think it is, and a 35 mil 1. F2. So that's kind of like my everyday carry. It kind of feels like it's always in my pocket or around my neck, and I'm just snapping with that all the time. And then if I'm shooting something that's like a little bit more kind of slowed down, pretty like if I'm shooting like fashion stuff or it's like e-commerce or like outfit photos for work or anything like that, I'm using like a Canon M50 for like much bigger productions. Like if I'm shooting something for a client, it'll be like a Sony A7 or 2, just because the really high resolution, big megapixels, big file sizes, companies can blow them up as big as they want. So yeah, those would be like my 3 cameras. I have a couple of lenses. Don't tend to shoot anything super wide. The widest lens I have is a 16 mil, but that's on the M50, so that's the equivalent of, because there's a crop factor because it's a smaller sensor. So again, very technical. But the 16 mil is probably closer to like a 24, and I only use that for video. So like the TikToks and stuff, just because I can be close to the camera, and I don't have to be like super far away. Or I'll generally tend to shoot between 50 mils because that's like there's not much distortion with 50 mils. So anything above 50, when you get to like a 60, an 85, a 135, or into like the 7200, all the big zooms, you get what's called lens compression. So the background gets compressed into the foreground and everything gets really squished and zoomy. And anything wider than 35 tends to get like stretched and wide angle. So I tend to like my images to look somewhat natural and as if like you've saw them with your own eye. So I tend to hover around the 50 to 85 kind of range.
Okay, awesome.
Nice. that leads us perfect into our next question. Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
Which lens is your favorite?
50 mil. Yeah. Well, I use an 85 quite a lot because if I shoot at 1.8 plus, because it's like almost telephoto, you get like lens compression, so everything's kind of blurry, and then shooting at like 1.8, everything is like mega blurry, and I really like really honing in on like really fine details. So that's quite a nice lens, but for 90% of what I shoot, it's gonna be on a 50 mil.
I have a question. I've seen your Instagram. Who do you hire somebody to take your pictures, or do you have a friend that takes your pictures for you?
No, I stick it on a tripod and then I use an app on my phone to trigger the camera.
Oh,
So
interesting.
yeah, so I always look like a douche out there on my own, posing for a camera on a tripod. But like in this day and age, like people are so used to that. Like like if that was like 5 years ago, even like if that was 10 years ago, people were like, "What the hell is that guy doing?" But everybody is on social media and everybody knows the role. Like they know the game now, so
Right.
nobody bats an eyelid. They look at it and they go, "Oh, he's just taking shots for his Instagram," and then that's it. They don't pay much attention, so it's fine.
Or he's doing a TikTok challenge. Come
Yeah.
on.
So we're gonna say hi to a couple more people. Hi, Umpty. Hey, Mad Hatter Pops, and hey, Christina.
Hey guys. What is difficult when taking the perfect picture?
Ooh, see, there is a degree of luck in every single photo. So no matter how good you are, it does not matter if you're like Ansel Adams, if you're like Annie Leibovitz, Steve McCurry, or if you're me. There's a degree of luck involved, like being in the right place at the right time, the conditions being right, like nice light, the light being diffused, not too harsh, blah blah blah. But the perfect photo always, like, it's really subjective because if someone was to Google Bruce Gilding and look at his work, and then like he's a street photographer, for instance. So if you were to pick two street photographers, so let's say Bruce Gilding, and then there's a girl, what's her name, Monaris. Their two like interpretations of the perfect photo would be like literally polar ends of the spectrum.
Mhm.
Like Bruce Gilding is like very brash, in your face, flash, like, and Monaris is like very soft, very cinematic, very like almost through a fourth wall. It's very distant, and Bruce Gilding is like very much like you can almost smell his photos. So the perfect photo for every single person is going to be extremely different. I don't think the perfect photo actually exists, because what I deem a perfect photo, someone else might think is absolute trash. So
Right.
I was just gonna bring that up. I think photography is probably like art. Like you could look at something and be like, "Whoa, it's amazing." I could look at it and be like, "Not so much." That's what I thought.
yeah, and that's why like the thing is, like, it's really funny with photography because nobody goes to like the Louvre and looks at Mona Lisa and go, "Man, I could do that." Like with photography, everybody's just like, "Yeah, I think my Uncle Dave has a nice camera. He could probably do that." And that's just the thing with photography. Everybody just assumes, "Oh, yeah, my Uncle Dave's got a pretty big camera. Yeah, I think he could probably do that." But Uncle Dave can't. Well, he probably can. Who knows? I don't know Dave. But like,
Everybody has an Uncle Dave, I find, eh?
everybody has an Uncle Dave.
My Uncle Dave. My Uncle Dave taught me this. My Uncle Dave is a little weird. My Uncle Dave.
Yeah, it's kind of weird with photography that way. Like, I've never met anybody to like go to a car garage and look at the mechanic, like, changing an entire axle and be like, "Yeah, I could do that." Everybody's a photographer, I guess.
YouTube it, and then your wheel falls off.
YouTube it. Change 10,000 axles and you'll get one right.
Another question from
Two boys and
the Pops. Oh, there's two of them. Hold on.
Yeah.
So that's how it starts. Cool. So how do you choose the focal point for your artistic needs?
Depends what I'm shooting. If you're shooting portraits, the focal point will always be the eye. Like, there's that's probably the one type of photography where there's like zero exceptions to that rule. If you're taking a portrait of someone, the focus is on the eye. But then when it comes to like landscapes, it kind of all depends. Like, let's say with a landscape, if you're trying to get like most of the or everything in focus, one of the rules should be like 2/3 into the frame is where your focal point should be. So like not in the foreground and not very in the background, like somewhere kind of just beyond the middle is kind of a good round, because like if your focal plane is quite wide, you're going to capture everything. Like for instance, like if this is the focal plane and I focus right on my nose, like this is where it starts and this is where it ends. So everything behind me then is like falling out of focus. But if I was to focus like here, then you get me, like you're capturing more, like a blanket almost. But yeah, it kind of depends on what you're actually shooting.
That's really cool.
And the second part of the the second question Two Boys and Their Pops has is, what's the difference between macro photography and using angles? Sorry.
And using angles. So like macro photography, to get really technical, you'd need like specific equipment. So you need like a macro lens. So it's almost like a magnifying glass. It's got like a really short, minimal focus distance. Yeah, using angles. I'm not entirely sure what he means by that. Maybe that's just like getting close to something and making it appear macro. But like true macro is like, you know, if you Google it, you'll see like lots of pictures of like insects or like water droplets, and it's like super close up, almost like a magnifying glass. So you need like specific macro lenses and stuff for it to be actually macro.
Right.
Oh, okay, that actually makes sense.
Have you ever done stop motion?
Yeah, I find it really interesting. Actually, stop motion. It's really fun, but it's also really tedious because it takes a lot of time. So like I really love those videos that are like time lapses of people, like like actual animation studios doing like stop motion. Those things blow my mind. Like it's so cool.
I personally like the nature ones where they have it on a tree and you can see like the leaves falling and then coming back, and
like a time lapse,
yeah,
and it goes through like the seasons.
Yeah,
that's cool. I call it time lapse. We have another question.
We have another question from Two Boys and Their Pops.
This is a good one. If you were hired by a celebrity to spend a weekend doing photo shoots for them, do you have a personal wish list
of celebrities?
Yes,
I guess.
Ooh, that's that like. I don't know. There's like two kind of. It's probably two sides to that coin. You could pick someone that's like probably doesn't do much from their day to day. Well, what I'd imagine, like, so say someone like Ozzy Osbourne, you would just imagine he like just chills at home with his family or whatever else, like, and you could kind of document that, like, kind of, everyday life of like a rock star, but he's just chilling at home in his PJs, like with his dogs and his family or whatever. Or you could pick somebody who's like hyper busy. You could pick like, the front man of like a touring band right now, and you're like, one, you get to travel all over the world because they are, and then you get to like document them, like, sound check on stage, like winding down afterwards, doing whatever they do, like their writing processes or whatever. An actor would also be really good because they know how to interact with a camera and they know how to like give you photos because they're used to playing characters. So they'd be very good at like portraying particular emotions and stuff. Depending on what your angle was, if you wanted to be like fly on the wall and just document it, musicians would be quite interesting. If you wanted to like boost your portfolio with lots of like really interesting photos, an actor would be probably better. But that probably doesn't answer any questions. It's not really much of a wish list, is it? So,
no, I'm just thinking like somebody like Mariah Carey, because she's like, you have to get my good side. Like I feel like she would hire a photographer. Somebody.
She would be a nightmare. She
would. Like she's not an easy person to deal with.
No.
From what I've heard. Anyways, we're not talking about Mariah Carey. So completely going now to left field. We noticed you wear a lot of suits. How many do you have?
Ooh, so the corny answer to that is one less than I need. It's always one less than I need. The actual answer, I think, is probably somewhere around 14 or 15, I think.
Oh wow!
Thereabout.
I was expecting so much
You're
more.
probably expecting like 100 or something.
Yeah.
Or like 365 for each day of the year.
It's the illusion, because you can break them up. You can wear like the jacket off a navy suit with the trousers off a grey suit, and then throw a different waistcoat on, and then it's the illusion of having more clothing than you do.
Oh, okay, that's awesome.
Ooh, mental mind trick. Do you have any questions?
No, not yet.
Oh, okay. Oh, we asked that. When you go out to shoot, do you take anything else besides a camera and lens? You probably have a lot to take.
It kind of depends. So like a camera and lens and a tripod and my iPhone are the most important things, because I use an app on my phone to trigger the camera. It also allows me to see what the camera sees through like live view. So I know where to stand, and I know when I'm in frame, and I can focus everything that way. So that's everything I need to actually take the photo. But sometimes, like when I'm in like work for my day job, sometimes I bring like flash. I'll bring like a stand and a flash unit, and it's a bit more kind of production and involved when I'm trying to like get specific lighting, or I'm trying to show something off in a specific way. But most of the time, probably 90% of the time, it's just camera, lens, tripod, iPhone, and myself.
I have a follow-up question. What app you're using for that? And then is it free, or do you pay for it every month?
No, it's completely free. So on Canon, it's called Canon Camera Connect, I think. So as long as the camera you're using has Wi-Fi or Bluetooth, you can use it through your iPhone. And then I think there's one for Fujifilm as well. Hold on, I'll get the name for that one. The Fujifilm one is called Cam Remote. So
thank you.
like,
That's really
almost all major camera manufacturers. So Sony have one, but it's like I've used it. It's a bit buggy. I don't really like it. I'm almost certain Nikon. I've never used a Nikon that has like Wi-Fi or Bluetooth. But Canon and Fuji, like most people are probably going to use a Canon. So the Canon one is actually a really good app.
Okay, that's awesome. I'm gonna try that, because I do have problems doing videos. I have to go to the camera, and then I have to come back, and then after we're done recording, I have to cut that first part off, and then it would be more simple if I can see and play it right here.
Yeah, and you can also like just hit record from like where you're sitting, so it's also much easier. So
yeah.
Okay. Question from two boys and their pops. Does being in a setting like camping in a frame cabin? Whoa, you got to be what? You got to be in Spark. Whoa. Okay, that can go. Okay, let me try this again. Hold on.
Sorry.
Being in a setting like camping in a frame cabin, you got to be in a spark your creative side with photography, or do you feel pressure to get the perfect shot? Whoa, that was like a messy sentence. I completely.
No, I think I know what I think they know what I mean, because like they've probably done a little scope of my Instagram and saw that I stayed in an A-frame cabin not too long ago. So we stayed in. I found this A-frame log cabin on Airbnb about 2 years ago, and then we stayed there for Valentine's Day, and then like I got like kind of just like good mates with the guys who run it and own it, and then they set up an Instagram and all that sort of stuff, and they were just like, "Oh, do you want to come stay for free in exchange for some photos?" So the first I mean, there's kind of two edges to this sword, because like when I stayed there, I obviously knew that I was like obligated to take good photos, but then there's also that like when you're in a place like that they've put so much effort into it aesthetically. It's like an A-frame log cabin in the middle of Donegal, like in the middle of nowhere. They own all the land that surrounds by it. They have like 6-7 horses. The guy Paul that owns it like used to break in horses in Montana for a living. The guy is like, a storybook on legs. It's so difficult to take bad photos. Everywhere you point your camera is like click, banger, click, banger, click, banger. So there's not much pressure when you're in a place like that, because yeah, if you're like a creative person, you're just looking around and going, oh, like that's so fucking cool, that's so cool. Da, da, da. You just want to take in everything, you want to take shots of everything. You're sending the drone up to get shots of that, and you're just like, whew, and then before you know it, you're just like, whoa, I'm gonna crash now because I've just been like on the go for 10 hours.
I hope that answers your question, Eric.
So I'm not sure if you answered this kind of off the top, but how long have you been doing photography with Uncle Dave?
I'd say probably close to like 15 years.
Oh wow.
So like a yeah, a long time.
Are you still learning stuff?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because like from a social media standpoint, like obviously social media is moving way more to the video side of stuff. So it's like a whole new learning curve. So like with TikTok or like Instagram's got reels, or like with YouTube or whatever, like YouTube is such a tough platform to grow on because it's huge and you're trying to get people to like watch and engage, and YouTube are all about watch hours or whatever. And then TikTok on the other hand is like extremely easy to grow on. You could have like for no reason whatsoever, you could have one of your videos completely blow up. And it mightn't even be the best video in your opinion, but it's the one that goes viral or whatever. So yeah, I would say like probably less and less from like a photography standpoint, but like what I'll do is like I'll like seek out photographers that like do something that's not close to what I do, if that makes sense. Like so they're like if they're doing like street photography, which is not what I do, I'll kind of seek out photographers that do that inspire me, and then I'll go and I'll not so much like replicate their work, but I'll try put their practices and then try make it fit the way I work, or try make it fit into my more commercial style of photography. If that makes sense. So like instead of if I'm doing like fashion photos, instead of them being like super posy, being like, okay, so how do I make this more kind of look like I've just stumbled across this scene on the street, so to speak. So I'm like learning that way, kind of pushing myself creatively to force you to learn.
Okay. We got a question from Baby Ice. If you could photograph any celebrity no longer with us, who would it be and why?
Ooh, a celebrity. So I kind of always get asked this question, but it's never the celebrity angle. So the non-celebrity angle, I would always be like my granddad. He was a super interesting guy, and I would have loved the opportunity to like properly take his portrait. And unfortunately, that never came about. But from a celebrity standpoint, dead or alive, I mean, there's a few ways you could think of this. Like, you could take Hitler's portrait and then kill him, and then you would be a hero. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think from like a non-tactical standpoint, maybe Robin Williams would have been really cool. He's such a character, like.
Yeah.
And then obviously, like knowing what his struggles were after the fact, it would have been like interesting to see if you could like pull that out through the camera. Where he's not playing a character, to see if you could get actually him. Like there's an interesting story of a photographer who was taking a portrait of Picasso, and every time he went to take a photo, Picasso would almost like put on this bravado. He's like performing for the camera. So what the photographer did was essentially pretend that his camera was broken, and he was just like, "Oh, just relax for a minute. I'm just trying to fix this." And then while Picasso, the second he relaxed, he just snapped the frame, and then that was the frame that he used. So he almost like tricked him into putting his guard down. So I think it'd be interesting if you could get Robin Williams like that. It'd be cool.
That would be cool.
I did see a video. Sorry, I'm going to interrupt, but they claim it was like the last interview he ever did, and it's on YouTube. And like he was just Robin Williams. Like he was sad, like you could tell, but it was like, I think this is like the real Robin Williams, kind of like Jim Carrey now. Like he's not Jim Carrey the goofball. Like he's like, I was playing a character. But anyway, that's my 2 cents. But yeah, no, but it would be interesting.
So what editing software do you use for your pictures, and which one's the easiest in your opinion that you use?
I think like I use Lightroom and like Photoshop, like so Adobe programs. I use Adobe Premiere Pro for editing video. I think they would be like your industry standards, especially for photography, like Lightroom and Photoshop. With video, you've got like Final Cut and lots of other stuff. But for photography, Lightroom and Photoshop would be like your industry standards. Lightroom is also super easy, because you can like constantly learn and like learn how to use the software, and there's like tons of different ways to like do the same thing. Or like if you want to like do a bit of masking, like to like darken the sky, like especially now because they use like AI filters and stuff, and they're constantly like pushing the software. So like now you can like subject select, and it'll like use an AI to like know where you actually focused on and what the subject of the frame is. So like if it's a portrait, it'll be able to basically map out, okay, that's a person, therefore that's the subject. So I'll like mask that, and then you can like darken the background or brighten the subject or wherever else it may be. So you can like do that manually, or you can let the software pick it out for you. And then there's lots of photographers that like have a very particular editing style, and then you can save them as presets, and then you can sell the presets. So it's almost like just one click filter, and then it like edits your photo in one go. So if you're not like super good at editing it, but you like how someone's photos look in terms of their colors and stuff, you can just be like, buy the preset, apply the preset, you're kind of good to go. So
have you ever like taken out backgrounds and just left the picture, just a picture of a person? Do you know how to do that?
Yeah, so you wouldn't really be able to do that on Lightroom. That'd be like a Photoshop job. So like you're creating layers essentially. I've never really needed to remove somebody from a background other than say like a product shot for like e-commerce where they want the background to be like clean white essentially. But I have like removed plenty of things from backgrounds, like odd cars, or if there's like a license plate that's clearly identifiable, I can like remove the plate so it's just blank. Or if there's like, you know, lots of people in the background, or if there's like a plane going through the sky or power poles or whatever else that's kind of distracting, yeah, you can just take them out. Or often enough with fashion photography, I have to remove price tags off of clothing all the time, because the clothes, like most of the clothes are not like, you know, made for the model, or like, you know, they're just like taken off a hanger. Oh, that fits you, that's your size. And then I have to like Photoshop out the hanger, and then somebody goes to the shop in like a couple of days time and buys the exact product that's just been photographed on the street in a model. So
wow, that's crazy.
Your clothes are never brand new. Your clothes are never brand new.
What is one thing you wish you knew when you first started taking pictures and doing photography?
Oh, that's a tough question. I think even now I find like sometimes I get this like kind of like, so you'll see with photography often like people either undershoot or overshoot. So often like when you're on like a paid gig, like when like there's a client there, like particularly if the client is actually on set with you, you could have the photo in like 3 clicks, but you're not going to be like, okay, I'm done, when it's like 2 minutes in. So you're just like clicking photos for the sake of clicking photos, just so they feel they're getting their money's worth. But then there's other times where you think you got the photo and then you stop, and then it's in the edit you say, shit, I should have kept shooting. So I think like obviously that comes with experience, so it's probably hard to say like if I knew that back then or whatever. I think one thing that I wish I knew back then is that like the equipment matters the least. And I know that's like so cliche, and it's like so easy to say like, oh yeah, it's easy for you to say you've got like 2 or 3 cameras or whatever. No. But like honestly, like it really, like if your composition is good and your lighting is good and your subject is interesting, it's going to be a good photo. Like think of it this way, like the most famous photos have ever been taken are taken on cameras more primitive than our iPhones. So like Steve McCurry's Afghan Girl or Robert Capa's D-Day landings, like they're literally shot on like, okay, yeah, probably like a Leica, like, but it's like a 50-year-old camera and on film. Do you know what I mean? They just knew how to use their equipment well. So it's about knowing your equipment rather than how good the equipment is.
So you don't need to go for expensive. You're basically saying.
Yeah, like absolutely. I don't think I've ever bought a brand new piece of equipment. So there you go. I buy all of my equipment secondhand, all of it.
Okay.
Yeah. I was gonna ask about that, but I didn't want to sound like a fool. I was like, obviously you can't like, use your iPhone and say like, oh, I'm a photographer. But like in terms of camera quality, let's just say you wanted to take a photo because you're on vacation. iPhone is almost as good, just as good if you don't want to be like a professional photographer and spend a lot of money on a Canon or Nikon. I know that was the long-winded question, but
Well, yeah, like absolutely. Like also, like bear in mind, like so. Let's say you're on vacation somewhere, right? And it's like, I'm talking in like Celsius here. So let's say it's like 40 degrees Celsius. What would that be in Fahrenheit? You'd like double it and add 30 or something like that. So I'm talking like 90 degrees Fahrenheit, say thereabouts. Like let's say it's hot as fuck out, right?
yeah.
And you're walking around and like you're sweaty and you're carrying around this big heavy camera and maybe you've got like an extra lens in your bag and maybe you're carrying a tripod as well, and then you see this photo and you set it up and you take it. Like that photo needs to be epic to make it worth carrying around all that gear and that hot ass weather to get a photo that nobody's paying you for. You're just probably going to share on Instagram and get like a few likes on it. Like, yeah, great. When you could walk around, actually enjoy your holiday, just whip out your iPhone and take a photo. Is the photo as technically good? Probably not, but it's still a photo, and it's probably going to do the same amount of likes on social anyway. So sometimes it's just about convenience. Like, what camera is the easiest to carry around?
Yeah.
Doesn't matter if it costs 10 grand or if it costs 500 quid or if it's your iPhone.
Yeah. Okay. No, I was curious. I was like, because an iPhone camera is just maybe as good, not as good as like a Nikon, but I was
Well,
curious.
it depends on like what you're trying to achieve as well. Like,
Yeah.
you know, if you're going on a trip specifically to take portraits of like, I don't know, a tribe in Ethiopia, for instance, and you have this exact idea of how you want the photos to look, and you're like, okay, so I'm going to shoot this on like an 85 because I want the lens compression, I want the background to be super out of focus, and I'm going to try bring my subject into the shade so then the lighting is nice and even and blah 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 blah. Yeah, obviously you're pre-planning all that, you're treating your trip like a shoot. But if you're just going away with your family and you're just like in a water park or whatever, you don't want to be like pulling out this big bazooka of a lens and zooming in on your kids and like, yeah, okay, like if that's like just in your bag and your wife gets to carry it, or it's on the bottom of a stroller and it doesn't, like, yeah, then fine. But most of the time, yeah, for 90% of like your daily stuff, your phone is going to be fine, especially nowadays. The cameras are so good. So
That's what one of my subscribers say. Matt Hatter Pops. He does photography for like Funko Pops, the stuff that I have in the background. And he says he's only used his phone for that, but he takes really great shots.
yeah.
Any questions there?
No,
okay.
We're good.
This is a good one. Through all the photography gear that you've purchased secondhand, now that we know, is there something you wished you hadn't had bought or kind of just wasted money on when you could have saved it?
No.
Okay. Simple.
No. Like, I'm very, very particular on the gear that I buy. I know exactly what I want. I know exactly the style of, like, it's taken like quite a while. So like one of the benefits of like not having tons of money to spend on the gear is that when you do have money to spend on the gear, you're going to spend it very carefully. And then obviously when you're like kind of restricted because you don't have like all this money to just buy what you want, you get very good at like honing your personal style with the equipment that you have. So then what you do is you essentially just grow that equipment. So if you need more megapixels, you get a bigger camera. But if you're used to shooting on a 50mm, you just get a better 50mm. So if you're shooting on like a third-party Sigma, you just get the better Canon version. Or if you're shooting on the Canon 1.8, maybe you get the 1.4 or the 1.2 or whatever it may be. But you're not really going out and being like, oh, I'm gonna drop like 5K on this 400mm lens for this 1 gig, and then I'm like, I'm never gonna use that again, and I've wasted a couple of grand. But there is one piece of equipment that I bought and I sold, and I regret it every single day. So I got a medium format camera. It was a Mamiya 645, and I had a digital back and a film back. And I wasn't really like, I got it when I was like really early on in my like photography career, and I wasn't really using it because it was like super professional gear, and I wasn't really at that level yet. So I ended up selling it. And yeah, I regret it all the time. So
I know you kind of answered this, but is there some device you wish you had to help with your photography?
An assistant.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if that counts as a device, but like, yeah, like,
Sure.
if you're like, I know I said like the equipment doesn't matter, but like I mean that in terms of like your camera and your lens or whatever else. Like, I mean, within a like realm, if you're shooting for a billboard, obviously you need like bigger camera, bigger megapixels, whatever else. If you're shooting sports, you need a bigger lens, but for the most part. But if I want like very specific lighting conditions, I need to bring a lot of equipment. I'm bringing like sandbags, I'm bringing like light stands, I'm bringing like really big parabolic umbrellas, I'm bringing flash. Um, and if I had an assistant to help carry that, or often enough, even just to like hold the flash, and then just like so I can like direct them, be like, oh, feather that light a little bit this way, or move it in, move it out, blah blah blah. It would just make everything a little more streamlined. Um, so yeah, it's probably one thing that, like, if I could, I would.
Okay. What are some of your favorite settings you have when using a camera?
So that kind of depends. So most of the time, for like the most part, everything will be just shot in manual. So therefore, the settings change as the conditions change. So if it's brighter out, the aperture gets closed, or the shutter speed gets quicker. If it's darker, the aperture gets opened up, the shutter speed gets slower, the ISO goes up. So those settings tend to change all the time. But if I am in complete control of, like, let's say I'm in control of all the conditions, so I'm using flash so I can kill the ambient light and I can control all the lighting. Generally, I like to shoot like about 2.8. So the depth of field is like shallow enough for the background to be out of focus, but like deep enough for the subject to be in focus. So then my shutter speed tends to be quite high because I'm using flash and I'm trying to kill the ambient. So I'm probably shooting like ISO 100. Shutter speed is probably 2,000th of a second. Then I'm probably shooting at 2.8, and then I'm using flash then to fill the subject in while killing the ambient. That's generally like if I have control over everything. But if I don't have control over everything, then essentially my camera settings are completely dictated by the elements, so the lighting conditions that I'm in.
Okay, that's really interesting.
Yeah. So you have another channel about photography. Are you going to build upon it, or are you going to move in a different direction?
You mean like on Instagram, like the? Or...
No, you have a secondary YouTube
YouTube.
channel that you took pictures of these girls.
Oh yeah. Like I don't know. Like maybe if I had an assistant, but also maybe if I had like a video person to like film behind the scenes stuff. So maybe what I need is a team.
Yeah.
I would love to like, but again, like I don't really watch many like YouTube tutorials. I don't really like the whole, gear review YouTube, like, which is like 90% of like photography YouTube.
Right.
I love watching like behind the scenes, like, of just like shoots. Like maybe because like being a little bit experienced, I can actually say if I'm watching a behind the scenes shoot of like say someone like Eric Almas or Annie Leibovitz or whatever, I can kind of dissect what they're doing. Obviously, I don't know what the camera settings are, but I can kind of dissect what they're doing in terms of the lighting. But I can also dissect what they're doing in terms of like how they're directing their models, and the angles that they're using to like improve my photography in terms of like what Annie Leibovitz been like, okay, look this way, look down, look this way, but I want your coat to be this way. And although it might look awkward, it photographs really well. So I think if I was to grow like if photography specific YouTube, it would be solely like behind the scenes of like shoots. So
Okay.
I mean, like, it's just what I'm interested in like watching. So I think it's easier to like make what you're interested in. I would never like do like gear reviews or tutorials because I don't watch them, so it would just come across like disingenuous, I think. So
No, I get that. Yeah.
Nice. Out of all of your photos, which one is your favorite?
ooh, that's a really tough question. I took a photo of my sister. My sister got married in Corfu, and I photographed her wedding. And we went to a place called the Achillean Palace. So, in one of the James Bond movies, it was actually a casino. I think is it. It's one of the Roger Moore ones. And they go through this palace, but now it's like a museum essentially. And they have like this big grand staircase, and it's like something from like a Netflix series or whatever. And she stood in the middle, and her dress comes down like a big round train and stuff. And I actually had an assistant then to hold my flash. It was called my dad. So um, I was in complete control of the lighting situation and stuff, and that's probably like they're photos that I'm really proud of because like it was my sister's wedding, and I got to like she basically said, "Look, I know I know your style of like photography. I know what you're able to do or whatever, but these are the photos that I want. I want a photo of like me and dad walking in the doors of the church, but we're silhouetted. I want a picture of me and Graham walking out of the church, but we're silhouetted. I want like these like specific photos or whatever." And then I was able to nail them for her, and like they're printed real big, and she has them hung in her house, and yeah, they're photos that I'm kind of proud of because, I mean, yeah, it's family, so.
So when you're doing a job, do you like them to tell you what they want, or do you rather you be in creative control?
Sometimes there needs to be a certain level of creative there. Otherwise, what's the point? And just get like a robot to take the photos.
Right.
But having like a brief, so like at least an idea of what they have in mind, what they want to achieve, makes it much easier because like I don't know what the opposite of like creator's block is. Maybe it's like too much creative freedom. You just like you almost don't know what to create. You could just end up shooting anything and everything, and then the client just turns around and goes like, "We can't use any of this," and then it's
Right.
pointless. So like yeah, it is better when there's like at least a little bit of a brief where they're like, okay, this is the like, or if they just give you like a mood board and be like, these are like the color palettes that we're looking for, or like the general gist of it, and then be like, okay, you could basically go do this, like, and then yeah, you can be like, sweet.
Do you have a special signature to your pictures? Do you like like some people have special signatures in like drawings, but do you have something that makes you unique in your pictures?
I don't know. I think like I think there's a few people like in my job, my day job. Like I remember, when I just started, I think it was just after I'd interviewed for the job. They were just like, "Well, what we want for like essentially, like I run Instagram and marketing for a menswear company." And after the interview, they basically said like, when we scroll on your Instagram, like there's Damien Broderick fingerprints all over all the photos, and there was like, that's what we want for our social media, like that we want to have that like brand identity. So I would hope that like if someone saw one of my photos on like Pinterest or like anywhere else on someone's phone that they saved or whatever, they'd be like, whoa, that's like a Damien Broderick photo. And I would hope that that's achieved. I don't think there's like a specific word, like most of the time, like it's kind of, people say that's like it's dark and it's moody and it's kind of cinematic. Like that's kind of what I thrive for. But I think like I have like undiagnosed ADHD or something because it changes so much as well. It was like it depends what mood I'm in. Like so if it's like winter time here and everything is dark and moody and rainy and windy, my photos kind of reflect that. And then in the summer, like especially if I go on vacation and it's like really nice and it's sunny and I'm in a good mood and I'm like slightly tipsy on cocktails at 3 in the day, my photography also represents that, where it's like a little bit brighter and a little bit more sunny and like yeah. So
Okay, so this is more of a yes or no because I don't want to get you into trouble, and I know we can't throw anybody under the bus. But are there clients and people that you've worked with that are very like easy to work with, and others you're just like, can you not be so difficult? Like, or is everybody kind of just the same?
no, like there's almost nobody is the same. So there's some like I don't mind throwing people under the bus, so whatever. So,
no, I just don't want to get you in trouble, just in case, like in the future, if they reach out or anything.
There's no, like there's some brands that like you kind of have to you kind of expect it from some brands. So like if they're luxury brands, their expectations are like really really high, and like they're really really particular in how they want their product or their service like displayed. Um, so I wouldn't say like they're difficult is probably like a tough word because like understand why they're being difficult.
Mhm.
But then there's different types of difficult. Like, so let's say for instance, like Powers Whiskey, for instance, right? So I've worked with Powers Whiskey a good few times, like as like an influencer, not so much as like commercial photography. So I can speak about this a little bit more and not get into trouble because I haven't worked for them from a commercial standpoint. But like I spoke on a panel, a whiskey panel, and I like whiskey, but I wouldn't be like an expert or anything. But they invited me onto a panel to speak, and I got asked loads of questions, and I was just like, "Whiskey makes you look cool," and I just sounded like a fucking idiot, like. Um, so whatever, like it was just weird. But recently they asked me, so it was National Irish Coffee Day, and they messaged me like 2 days before. I'm like, hey, can you do an Instagram photo of an Irish coffee? And I was like, yeah, sweet. I was like, I have some Powers whiskey here in the house, like like it's no problem, I'll do one. So I took the photos and I sent them, and then they're like, oh, we'd really like want the bottle to be like full, so we'll like send you out like a package of like product, like all the ingredients to make an Irish coffee or whatever. And I was like, yeah, sweet, no problem. So the package never came, and it was like actual Irish Coffee Day. Like this photo was like to go live that same day. Then the package arrived, and I had to turn a photo around in like an hour. And I was like Google driving photos over to their PR agency, and they were just like, "Oh, we'd love more cream." So I put more cream on, and they're like, oh, "But we want the cream to be like white and fluffy." So I like put more cream on, and then there was like, "No, like white and fluffy." And this is like the same day the photo was to go live.
Right.
So I basically just like whipped up loads of shaving cream and then like scooped the shaving cream onto the top of the coffee and then took the photo. And then using white balance, took the blue hues out of the shaving foam to make it look just white, and then sent that. And they were like, yeah, that's exactly what we want. And I was like, you idiots, it's shaving cream. But like, so, so there's little
I have a
things like
question.
that.
I have a
Yeah.
follow-up, kind of a follow-up question. Have you done any food photos for any restaurants?
No, actually, there was one like years and years ago. They invited me in to essentially just pop some stuff up on Instagram or whatever. I think it was like Meeting House something or other. But yeah, they basically just like gave me like free lunch and like bottomless like Bellini, so we just like got pissed in the middle of the day for free. And I just had to take some photos of food. Like, but there's such a craft to like commercial food photography. There's so many like little hacks, like where they're using like you see like those like viral videos where they're using like motor oil on pancakes so that like because
Yeah,
it doesn't absorb in and stuff like that. But yeah, there's like, or if you ever see like how the Big Macs are stacked for the photos, so they're all like stacked at the
yeah.
front, and then the back of the burger is basically flat. So, yeah, there's such a craft to it, but yeah, I'll leave that to the pros.
I asked you that because I went to chef school, and that was a program you could take in chef school that you could do video
Oh, interesting.
photography. Yeah, it was very interesting to see like even like the pizza you to make the goose the cheese stringy, they'd use like this special glue,
Yeah.
and it was this really interesting. I didn't take it, but it was really interesting.
See, like I would always be a little bit conflicted as well, because surely you're just wasting food. Like those pancakes are now like just in the bin because you've poured motor oil on them,
Yeah,
or the pizza's trash because you just put glue all over it. So I'm a little bit conflicted with the wasting of food. Plus, like, why would anybody waste good pancakes and good pizza? So,
yeah,
Yeah. Yum.
but they need to take the shots, you know.
Yum.
yum, exactly.
Yeah. So, which photo do you wish came out different or not as you had hoped?
Oh God, there's so many. Like I don't know, like maybe I think this like yeah, I think every photographer probably had this where you have like like an image in your head, like you look at a scene and you can like visualize what the photo is going to look like, and no matter what you do, it just does not come out the way you envision it. And sometimes like when you get a little bit more experience, sometimes that does actually come down to like your gear limitations. You're like, oh, if I had a longer lens or if I had a wider lens or whatever, it's never down to the actual camera in terms of like, oh, if I had more megapixels, that doesn't matter. It's always going to be down to like your focal length. Oh, I can't get enough in, or I'm not close enough, or whatever else. But sometimes it's just a case of like, I don't need to be closer and I don't need to be further away. I'm in the perfect position, but for whatever reason, it's just not working. Whether that be like composition or the camera just cannot react to the light the same way. Like, I mean, like if you just look with your normal eyes, our eyes are absolutely incredible in terms of like how we can hyper focus on something. You know, it does it automatically in terms of like you put your finger to your eye and your finger's in focus and everything else is out of focus. But then when there's nothing like super close, everything is in focus. Do you know what I mean? And in terms of like, it can be like almost pitch black and you can see, but the camera unfortunately is not as good as our eyeballs. So that's generally like, there's so many photos where I've looked at something and goes, that would be such an epic shot. And no matter what I do, it just doesn't come out. So you just kind of have to let them ones go.
I'm not sure if you've touched on this or not. I'm actually curious. Whose work in photography has influenced you the most?
Ooh, I think early on in my photography journey, Steve McCurry would probably be one of the most influential. And then as I kind of progressed, so Joey L, Joey Lawrence, and he goes by Joey L on socials and stuff. But his photography would be like what I absolutely strive for my work to, you know, in terms of like the actual subjects that he shoots, the clients that he shoots for, the way the photos look, the way they're edited, and yeah, everything like that would be what I would strive for in my work.
That's really interesting. So we are going to be moving away from photography talk. Now we're going to test your tattoo knowledge for history.
Okay, hold on.
Pressure.
Okay, hold on. Before we get there, I got to follow up. Have you ever met any of your idols
No,
that you kind of looked up to? No? Okay.
no.
Yeah,
Like the closest was Steve McCurry done a meet and greet here in Dublin once, like years ago, and I couldn't get tickets to it, but that's the closest.
Okay. Now we're going to do it.
Yeah.
I feel better now that I've asked that. Okay, so humans have been tattooing each other dating back how far?
Oh, like thousands and thousands of years. There's like basically mummies that have like remnants of tattoos on them. So like literally thousands of years.
Okay, Maestro, do we accept that answer?
Do we accept that answer?
Okay.
But it says
This says 5,000.
5,000.
yeah.
What style of tattoos looks like photographs on your skin?
Oh, that'd be like, yeah. So what the technical tattoo term be like? Realistic, hyper realistic, photorealistic, photorealism.
Yes. You
Yeah,
got it.
realism. As soon as he said real, I was like, it's kind of like in charades when it's like a cat, it's a cat, but then like a kitty cat, and you're like, that's what I was doing. Anyway, okay, serious time. Which style of tattooing traditionally features koi fish and I can't read that, but what's that say? I can't read that. I don't want to completely butcher the name.
Is it type of mask, like a henye mask or something along those lines? Japanese, I would imagine, is the answer.
Greece.
I don't know. I can't.
I can't.
I can't read it.
But yes,
We'll
you're right.
Yeah. Oh, did he?
Yeah, he did.
He said
He's
Japanese.
Japanese.
It's
Yes.
Japanese. It says GEISHASL, I think. I don't know how to pronounce that. I don't want to butcher it. So, anyways, not important.
Moving to the next.
Moving on. In which country did a mayor once try to ban tattoos and inspire companies to fire their tattooed employees?
Wow, I've never heard of this, but it's not. Like, Japan had outlawed tattooing.
Got it. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
It's Japan.
Yeah. So that was like I don't think it was the Ming Dynasty. Maybe it was before that. Yeah. So essentially, when the East India Trading Company. So when all the Western countries started to go over to the East to like trade, the Japanese emperor at the time essentially he banned tattooing because he wanted to put like a clean cut version of like Japan forward to present to the world, which is kind of ironic because all the sailors would have showed up absolutely covered in tattoos.
Yeah. I can't read what that word says. Do you know what that says? Can you read your wife's writing? I can read the rest of it. It's just that one word, and it's like the word that like connects the sentence. Wow. You've been married how long? Okay, I'm gonna give this a shot. Let me see if my radio training's worked here. There is I don't know if I can try this. Which I'm gonna say realistic. I can't read it. Has a tattoo culture that is 1,000 years old. I can't really read it. I'm just gonna move on. Anyways, okay. What was tattooing a part of life in ancient Egypt? I guess we've already kind of gone over that because you said
mummies and stuff have been found with them. Yeah,
so Anyway, he did quite well, except for that one word I cannot read or could not read.
But like, what was it like? Like a culture that has tattooing for like over 1,000 years. So, is it like Maori or something?
It was Hinduism. I just couldn't read one of the words for whatever reason. Yeah, I couldn't read one of the words. Are you gonna? He wants to get this. This guy's like Michael Jordan. He's not gonna try until he wins.
I think it's basically which is the oldest. What's the oldest religion? There it is.
Oh, religion.
It's a religion. What
that
religion?
Does not say religion.
It is. I know it is. What religion was a
RELIGON? Why did she add an extra G then?
I don't know.
There's what? Oh my gosh. Anyway,
you can continue.
Okay, great. Pre-design. Oh, we're still going.
Yeah.
Pre-designed tattoo that often decorates the wall of tattoo shops are called
flash.
Very good.
Yeah.
And my pen.
Sorry. So do you know why it's called flash?
I forget. I've heard.
Yeah. So in New York when tattooing was illegal, they essentially used to put all the flash on the wall. So when someone said, "Oh shit, the cops are coming," they could literally take it down in a flash.
Oh, okay, that's really interesting.
Huh? Kind of reminds me of like the Muggsy Bogues, or not Muggsy Bogues. Not Muggsy. Who am I thinking of? Bugsy Malone. Bugsy Malone times the whole prohibition days.
Prohibition, yeah.
I was talking about the basketball player. Anyway, tattoos meant to enhance natural beauty are called.
Oh, it's like cosmetic tattoos.
Very good.
Correct.
Wow. If I ever go on like Who Wants to Be a Millionaire or something, and I need like a tattoo question. What do
you take this long distance collect call?
I'm sleeping. There's a time difference in LA compared to. What do most tattoo artists use to tattoo in modern shops? Okay.
A tattoo machine.
Yeah, correct. He's gonna probably get all these. What kind of tattoo started the world of modern tattooing in the West? What?
What type of tattooing?
What kind of tattoos started the world of modern tattooing?
Tattooist.
This is traditional. This is a weird sentence. So that was a weird sentence. I read it and I was like,
yeah. So it's like they're probably talking about like Sailor Jerry and Ed Hardy in terms of their traditional tattoos. That's kind of what like introduced tattooing into the mainstream in the West. Yeah. So
yeah, that's what I thought it was. I always see those men with the anchors and stuff.
Hey, Sadbone. Hey, Ninja Soldier.
What style of tattoo often features bright splashes of color? And we use a U when we use color. D of a kind.
I mean, there's so many that use bright. So like neo-traditional would use like really bright colors. Also, traditional would use bright colors.
Yeah. Oh, this is watercolor.
Oh, watercolor. Well, in my opinion, watercolor would be like a little bit more kind of pastel and washed out because it's watercolor, so it wouldn't be like, it'd be washy as opposed to like super bright. But man, my opinion.
Oh, good. Doesn't matter. We use a U when we use color. We don't live in America. No offense to Americans, but here we spell color with a U. Anyway, in which country is tattooing practiced illegally?
In Japan, you need a medical doctorate to tattoo in Japan.
Huh. Wait, a medical?
Yeah. So, like the question before when you asked who banned tattooing, when they lifted that ban of tattooing, they didn't just like, okay, everybody can go tattoo. You need a medical doctorate to legally perform tattoos in Japan. So
Huh.
tattooing in Japan is still kind of taboo.
Yeah, it's South Korea.
It's
But it's
South
the same
Korea.
Thing. It's the same thing. It's in the same like realm. Anyways, what is the most well-known American gang tattoo?
Ooh. I mean, probably. Well, I don't know. Probably a swastika, I would imagine. Like I don't know. Like I would imagine it's probably like a very well-known gang tattoo. Well, I mean, are they a gang outside of prisons? Maybe. Like, what's the numbers? What's that rapper? He's got like 6ix9ine all over him and stuff. That
Oh,
guy's
Tekashi
dead,
6ix9ine?
You're getting close.
You're getting close.
Oh, is it gonna be like the Bloods or the Crips or something like that?
No.
I'm like the whitest like guy ever. We don't even have gangs here in Ireland either.
It is. Are you ready for it?
Yeah, go.
It's a
Teardrop.
Oh, I'm so fucking annoyed at myself right now.
I don't know if this is true or not, but I don't people get teardrops for the amount of people that they've like killed in prison or in general.
Yeah. So there's a few different stories. So if the teardrop is not colored in, it's like an attempted murder, and then if it's like a successful murder, it's colored in or whatever. And then if there's multiple ones, it's for each murder. But then there's other stories that would be like, say if you've got like 2 teardrops, it's like 2 stints in prison.
Oh, okay.
So there's a few kind of conflicting.
I also heard like it's a death of a friend or a family member. That's what I heard, but I don't know if that's true.
There's a few kind of conflicting ones. I've never met anybody that has one to actually ask them. So
yeah.
Whoa, do I really have to ask this? This looks confusing.
Yeah.
Okay, so I did not write these questions, so if it's like FYI, I'm not throwing Diva-Con under the bus. As far as we know, who got tattooed in ancient Egypt?
Oh God, I don't know. Cleopatra.
You're on the
right track.
You're on the right track. Yep.
Who? Moses.
Women were most. Mostly
women are most tattooed.
Yeah.
Okay.
Interesting. So Cleopatra probably had one.
Yeah.
Badass bitch.
So, tattoos were popular in the Roman Emperor until Emperor Constantine. What? Emperors were popular in the Roman Empire until Emperor Constantine adopted. Okay, I think I know what she's trying to say, but it's coming out weird. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh, so the tattoos were popular with Roman emperors until Constantine basically put a stop to it.
It's kind of a style. I don't know if you call it a style, kind of lifestyle, shall we say?
No idea.
Christianity, apparently.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
I always find that so funny because like there's like these people with like full like sleeves that are like Jesus and like basically biblical sleeves, and it's just like the church are like so against it. It's so funny.
Yeah. I was gonna say like they don't seem like they're like all like pro tattoo. What type of tattooing utilizes dots instead of shading?
Oh, so like Mandela.
What?
It's like Mandela. It's like dot work.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I was thinking of Nelson Mandela. That's what I was like. Why are we talking about Nelson Mandela? You know what? The man of humanity. Rest in peace, Nelson Mandela. That's me said Mandela, and I'm like I don't have any tattoos, but I'm just like Mandela, and I was like, is he talking about Nelson Mandela? Anyway, which method do many people use to give themselves long-lasting DIY tattoos? I think they do this in prison. I'm just guessing.
Oh, it's like stick and poke.
Yep,
Very good.
correct.
I
I
think-
just want to say hi to two people before we continue with the questions. Hi, Mama J, and hi, Dangerous Jobber. Welcome. Thank you for coming in.
How many more questions do we have left?
Almost
We're
done.
almost done.
Yeah.
Oh, God. I hate reading questions. I feel like I'm at Trivia Night Tuesday. And like, you know, the people that are too close to the mic and they're like, in what Seinfeld episode? You're like, you're too close to the mic.
I'll take Mandela for 5.
Nelson Mandela. Okay. Which style of tattooing is meant to look like an ancient tattoo?
An ancient tattoo.
Yeah. I gotta add words because they're little incomplete sentences, but incomplete now.
Oh, I don't know. Like tribal. It doesn't really look ancient.
Oh my god! This guy just like throws that in the air and he gets it.
Correct.
Oh my god. Okay, this I probably actually would have known too. Henna is a temporary. Whoa! Let me try that again. Henna is a temporary tattoo art that comes from which country? This I actually knew.
India.
Yes.
Very good. That was actually really good.
That's funny.
Questions from the chat or
No,
no?
just a statement that's funny.
What's the statement?
Right here.
Apparently, I'm Steve Harvey that just rattles off like questions. Or I'm Nelson Mandela, one of the two.
So we're moving away from the fun trivia. Now we're going into some random questions to kind of finish up the podcast. So what's your cat's name? I know you have a white cat.
Yeah, Zaki. So he's named after Zaki Vengeance from Avenged Sevenfold.
Oh, that's really cool.
Do you want to read that?
He's also 13 years old this year. He's an old dude.
Damn.
My cat's getting up there. Are you still a manager at a clothing store?
No, so I've moved out of retail now. So I look after marketing and social media for a menswear store. So same kind of store, but I'm not in the retail end of it anymore.
When you were a manager, did they give you discounts or free clothes or anything like that? Any benefits?
Often it was discount. So I think my last job was like a 50% discount, which was really good.
Nice.
You can read the rest. I can't. My glasses are not on.
Really? What kind of question is that?
They're fun, quirky questions. They're random questions.
I don't really want to ask this one. Okay, I didn't write this. What? Oh my god! I can't believe I'm about to ask this. What do you think of garden gnomes?
I mean they're sweet if you're like 70. Yeah, like I don't know. The thing is, like in where I live in like Dublin, if you've got garden gnomes and you're not like a 70-year-old sweet little old lady, they're probably getting stolen. So
my garden gnomes are gone. That should make fun. I can't believe I just asked that.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Wow. Oh, wow. Some of these questions. You've been given an elephant. You can't give it away or sell it. What would you do with the elephant?
hire someone to make an epic giant saddle, and that would be my everyday driver.
That was good.
I'm coming into town. I'll be like 5 hours.
Me and Stampy are coming through, bitches.
Stampy. Are these the questions you came up with while I was away?
Mm.
An elephant? Oh god. Anyways, why can't it be like a rhino or something?
Mm-hmm.
Especially not an otter. You know, D of a kind in our otters. If you could be a tree, what kind of tree would you be?
Ooh. A pine tree.
Nice.
Yeah,
And why?
I think they're like nice, like aesthetically.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And I'm not very tall, and trees are tall, so yeah. I think I have a pine tree tattoo, so I might as well pick a pine tree. So
Oh, that's sick.
Nice. I'd be a Christmas tree. That's still a tree.
Basically a pine tree.
You know what? But it's Christmassy. Like a tree is a tree, but until you like glitz it up, then it's a Christmas tree. The more you know.
yeah, but you're in an attic for 11 months of the year, bro.
Not unless you leave it up all year.
True,
Then
my
it could be
neighbors
like a
actually
different
have
kind of
Christmas tree up. Still.
Really? Yeah. Then it's a Valentine's Day tree, a St. Patrick's Day tree, Easter somewhere in there. So it's the Easter tree.
Just a
And
seasonal tree.
yeah, it's a seasonal tree. That's all the holidays I can think of off the top of my head. Oh my god, these questions. I feel like a 5-year-old. Like I feel like a junior reporter asking this. We finished the interview and you step outside the office and find a lottery ticket that ends up winning $10 million. That's it? What would you do? Buy an elephant.
Yeah.
I mean, they have
every day. What would I do? I don't know. How big is the company that I interviewed for? Can I buy the company with the $10 million?
That's a good one. I'd say buy an elephant. Oh, now his glasses, all of a sudden, Mr. I don't have them after reading the embarrassing ones. Here, I'll read this because I actually feel positive asking this.
Okay.
I'll try not to sing this like Whitney Houston, but if you could relive a moment, oh my god, this could have been written better. If you could relive a time in your life, what would it be?
Oh god.
I got our internet went out. That's why. Oh, okay.
Yeah, okay.
Wow, our volume is like garbage right now.
Yeah, what happened?
I don't know. What would you do?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
He did. He answered it.
Oh, there we go.
Oh, and now it's back.
It's back. Our volume went away for a second.
Yeah, it's probably because these questions are ridiculous. It's probably why. Okay, yeah, you're asking the rest of these.
All right.
Like, I'm embarrassed now. I have to go hide.
So these are just some fun ones. What's your favorite food of all time?
Ice cream.
Ice cream, nice.
Hands down. Like,
What kind of ice cream?
Which one?
anything other than pistachio. Pistachio is a mint chocolate chip in disguise, and its sole purpose is to confuse people, and I don't fuck with it.
So what's your favorite season?
Ooh. Like, Ireland is weird because like we basically have like absolute winter and then 4 days of summer. So maybe those 4 days of summer that I can actually wear shorts and not be cold. So.
We're finally getting warm weather. I hate the cold.
Yeah, we're only getting it today, by the way.
Yeah,
So
just
enjoy.
today, 14 degrees. So favorite animal?
An orca, like a killer whale.
Yeah. Free Willy. I don't know if he was an orca or not, but
Yeah, he was. Yeah.
If you had a superpower, what would that be?
Oh, did you ever see that movie Jumper?
Yes.
I've heard of it. I haven't seen it.
Such a good movie.
Yeah, that would be my superpower, being able to like essentially like teleport. So
That's so sick. Yeah. Biggest fear?
ooh, getting like seriously ill. So like getting like an actual like, you know, serious like cancer or something like that. Like that's like I'm not really afraid of dying, but like getting like seriously ill to where like it has an effect on like all my family and my loved ones and stuff. yeah, that's definitely my biggest fear. That got real deep there for a moment.
Yeah,
but yeah,
Yeah.
Yours went so far. I'm like roller coasters for me. Yours is like
Like,
illness.
I know.
yeah, like I'm not really I'll get on a roller coaster. Like I've never like been skydiving, but I definitely do it. Like like that sort of stuff. I'm just kind of like, yeah, whatever, I'll do it.
Right.
If it's my time to go, it's my time to go. If my chute doesn't open and I splat, like whatever, like fine. But like getting like proper sick to where it's like prolonged and your family have to deal with it and all that sort of shit. It's like, meh, yeah, that just sucks.
All right, then I have another question. What famous female and male actor or actress or
Celebrity.
anybody famous would you take out for lunch?
Ooh, dead or alive?
It could be dead or alive.
Yeah.
Ooh. I think I'd love to. Oh, Abraham Lincoln. Oh no, John F. Kennedy would be super interesting. You could always ask him who actually killed him if he even knows.
Huh.
And then alive, maybe. Do you know Sir Alex Ferguson, the Manchester United manager?
I've heard of the name. I'm not big on English football, but I know Alex Ferguson. Did he resign?
No, he retired like 13
Yeah.
years ago or something like that, which is like the saddest day in any United fan's life. So
Yeah.
but
Yeah, that's a good one. Sir Alex
maybe.
Ferguson. Okay, what about female? I'm just curious.
Ooh, Betty White.
That's awesome.
Yeah, Betty White. It's just gonna be like that's just gonna be wholesome as fuck, and she definitely has some cool stories. So yeah, Betty White.
I wonder if she's bothered that she only got to 99. I wonder if that bothers her at all. Like,
it would piss me off big time.
right?
Oh yeah.
You're so close to hitting that 100 and you didn't make it.
I would like be like life support the fuck out of me for like the next couple of months, like, and then like unplug it after.
Yeah. So we have 2 more questions to finish off the podcast. So what's your future plans for your social media?
Oh,
Anything coming up? Anything you want to share with us?
I don't really know. So I just so I suffer with psoriasis, which is like a autoimmune disease for the skin, and I just filmed an episode. So it's a 4-part online. It's like basically like a TV show, but it's online and it's 4 parts. And I was on the first episode of it. So we filmed that the other day, and that'll get pushed out all over socials and whenever it's ready. Like I didn't do any of the shooting, producing, or anything like that. I basically just showed up and talked with 2 doctors on a panel. So that'll be coming out soon. And then I'm working with a watch brand called Earnshaw soon. I think they're the only kind of 2. Working with like tattoo numbing cream soon to try out that to see if it actually works. We'll see. I've never like applied it myself. When I got my stomach done towards the very, very end of the tattoo, they put numbing cream on and it was like miracle stuff. So we'll see if it works again. But my goals for social, try focus on video a little bit more. So like TikTok, YouTube, Instagram Reels. Try get my own podcast and like a little bit more kind of regular videos and a bit more kind of scheduling along those kind of lines. And obviously TikTok is now my biggest platform, so try monetize that a bit. Ireland don't have access to a creator fund, so it'll only be collaborations with brands, so sponsored content. So we'll see if we can monetize TikTok a little bit.
I saw a video that you're kind of talking about like having tattoo artists on your show, your podcast. Is that still a thing you're looking forward to doing?
Yeah, absolutely. So on Tuesday, my friend Emmett that done the Panther Head, we're gonna record an episode with him, and then on Friday, Sophie is doing the rest of my neck. We won't record an episode then, but I'm gonna like essentially see if she's interested. But yeah, the long-term goal for that is to like give artists and tattoo shops a voice as opposed to just me being like, this is what your tattoos say about you. No. But like it's more kind of formal. So
so do you have any questions for us? That's our last question.
yes. What is your like I have a few Funko Pops. We only start like kind of collecting them kind of this year. So we got like the office advent calendar one, and then in my office in work, I basically went out and bought Funko Pops that like were people in nice suits. So I have like the Don Draper and Roger Sterling ones, and I have a Johnny Castle one because he's like really suave and stuff. So I wanted to know what's your favorite Funko Pop out of your massive collection.
It's a set that is my favorite. It's a My Chemical Romance set. I finally completed that, and it's one of my favorite bands when I was a child. So
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
I didn't know Mad Men had Funko Pops. I got you with the Don Draper.
Yeah.
By the way, that was a good show. I don't know if you'd like it, but it was a very interesting show. People smoked a lot in the 60s. I learned about that on that show. For me, I don't know. Like, I'd probably say the Eddie Van Halen pop I got now. Thanks, Johnny Funko. Probably that one because, he's Eddie Van Halen. The guy was iconic.
And then what's the rarest Funko you guys have?
It's a 2-pack of. Do you know anime? Kind of.
A little bit.
So it's a 2-pack of Naruto and Sasuke fighting from Naruto.
Okay.
So it's trending at 100 and something. It fluctuates every week. Generally, that's the most expensive. Wait, no, that's a lie. I'm sorry. I just got a new one from Full Metal Alchemist that is 140 right now sitting.
I don't think I have any. I'll be honest. Actually, I did see one when I was away, and I was like, you wouldn't like it, but it was like for anybody that's into sports, they had like a Steven Stamkos NHL one, and he's like one of the best players. I don't know if he's the best player, but he's one of the best players in the league. And I'm standing in this ridiculously long lineup at Walmart. I'm like, do I want this Steven Stamkos one? And I was like, no, I don't. I like Steven Stamkos, but not that much. But yeah, I don't think I have any rare ones.
We have comments on.
Ooh.
Matt Hatter Pop says,
yeah, you have some absolutely fantastic photos on your Instagram. Truly incredible. I need a couple of those suits for sure. Of the 15, I think it was.
Thank you very much. Yeah, just like suits are so easy. Like people always just assume that you need to spend like crazy. Like I was like, yeah, I'm very lucky that I have like some of my suits are like custom made, but like most of them aren't. You can buy a suit from any old suit store and just get it like tailored to fit you. You could get it in Goodwill and get it tailored to fit you, and it's gonna look amazing. So, if you want a suit, just go get a suit. Just make sure that it fits right.
Right. So this is going to be the end of our episode. This has been another episode of the Funko Friends podcast. Thank you for tuning in, and mad love to all in the chat. Thank you for being such a great guest. I almost said host. Have a good night, everybody in the chat, and stay Funko.
Thanks for having me, guys. Pleasure.
Yeah, thank you for coming on. Oh, there I am.
Okay. Mad love, guys.